Well, good day. I don't know if this is afternoon or morning. And the reason I don't know that is because we back at CAN TV, Hotline 21, for the first time since the lockdown. And I must say it's a little bit of a difference to the degree that, I've been programmed to touch buttons and do this and that. Then I walk in here and Mari tell me, don't do it. And I'm saying, well, man, what I'm going to do? He said, just sit down and go and do your program. So now I'm sitting here conflicted as I don't know what, because I'm trying to get in the rhythm. But things have changed. The last time we was here, March the 27th, and we was talking about some things. And since then, we've had an opportunity to see things get better in some places, and things have not gotten so good in other places. And things have slipped, and a lot of folks ain't here no more. We're going to talk about some of that. But before we do, and since I don't know when the next time we'll be here, because I don't think it's going to be like it used to be. I don't think nothing will ever be the same, including CAN TV and me. So I value this opportunity. What you see up there is Retro Current Team. Well, Retro Current Team has moved into a different type of energy. Now we got a component of Retro Current Team called WHO, W-H-O. Now let me tell you about W-H-O. W mean we. That's a group of young people between the ages of 10 and 12. Help is what H represent. O represent out. When I was talking to the kids, we had to reimagine. Because I've been saying for a long time last year that I was working with Mr. Brad Cummins with these newspapers here, the Austin Voice. Told you that. And that we was working in conjunction with some of the partners in the West Side Heroin Opioid Task Force, a task force created by State Rep. LaShawn Ford, 8th State Representative District. But time, I told Omari, I ain't no plantation slave. So since I don't want to be bothered with West Side Heroin Opioid Task Force, getting confused, although I am still working with Mr. Cummins, we are still in partnership trying to get these kids involved. And as you can see here, the Voice. Salute the class of 2020. Now, those 10 and 12-year-olds ain't graduated, but they're the right age to be paper boys and paper girls. So when we say who, or when I say who, I mean we help out. That's we. Me, some parents, and these 10 and 12-year-old kids that distributes this paper with information in it about the West Side Heroin Opioid Task Force. Because people can't go in the stores and find the paper any longer. So what we do is we have these young people, social distancing and with masks, going door to door like they did when I was a boy. Throwing newspapers and putting newspapers in mailboxes because the senior citizens can't get to it. But now white folk can't imagine like that. They can't imagine that that's outreach. And that's what I was told to do by LaShawn Ford. Do outreach. Do awareness. So we want people to be aware, so we got WHO, Youth Corps. So yes, when I say who, I'm still doing outreach, I'm still trying to bring awareness, But we won't be able to do it like we was doing on 21 before. Because 21 is not available like that. You can't have it, well, I don't know, maybe they can. I doubt if you can have a 12-week series with all of these different agencies that come here. It's going to probably be just like here. You come here, and if you're lucky, you get a hit once a year. So you got to make it count. So I'm going to make this count in case I ain't never here no more. So I'm going to take my time and lay it out. Now, Westside hiring Opioid Task Force, Retro Current Team, in conjunction. You understand me? With who? Who is who? We. 10 to 12-year-olds and their parents. Help out. Help out what? Get the word out. So much for that. That's paper number 1. Now, this here. These are the kids from Michelle Clark, the Dawson Voice paper has profiled in their paper. These are the kids that graduated. They wasn't able to graduate at school because of the pandemic, but they made it. And on the west side, where I live, it's a major accomplishment to graduate for children. When you live on the west side like I do in Austin, where the city don't enforce firework ordinance, and every night, year-round, with this pandemic and killing, you can't sleep. They sleep all day. 5 o'clock, when people getting off, they come out. And they start popping fireworks until 5:30 in the morning. And the damn police don't hear a thing. The aldermen, I don't think they can hear either. The Matter-W.H.O can't hear. She just got her $2 million house somewhere away from folk. I said that. And then they say, why is the killing up? The killing is up because they camouflage the gunshots, and the daggone computer can't tell a gunshot from a firecracker or a firebomb. So people done lost their homes. People ain't been able to sleep. I was talking to a man, 84 years old, one of my neighbors. I was almost late getting here. And he wanted to tell me where he had been in the last 2 weeks. And I felt so uncomfortable rushing him. He had been in the hospital. They had to keep him there. He had a situation with his health. But he couldn't sleep at home because the daggone city don't have enough sense to enforce the ordinance. We got a lot of senior citizens in our communities. They sick. They need their sleep. But the city don't care. So we got babies getting killed because the city don't care. They let these dudes that ain't doing nothing just make havoc. Sound like Vietnam. Sound like when I was in the war. All day, all night. So what they got to do with drugs? Didn't Trump tell you people was going to be ODing on opioids? Didn't he tell you people was going to be dying on heroin and fentanyl? Didn't he tell you that? Yes, he did. That's what it's got to do with it. Didn't Trump tell you people was going to be bigger drunks and alcoholics than they ever been? Yes, he did. That's what it's got to do with it. People got to get high because their quality of life in Chicago ain't worth a damn. Why? Because the administration, the city, won't enforce the ordinance. Laws that says, okay, the 4th of July, you want to do this and do that. Well, you know, this year was that. But they said, oh, they bored. They bored with these old people. 84-year-old. Can't even stay at his home when he's sick because he can't get no rest. But the city don't care. So now you got people ODing. The dude was telling me the other day, and he's strung out. He was saying, man, there's some new stuff out here. You know how we used to be leaning and don't never fall? He said, man, you get hold of some of that now, people busting their heads all over town. Because whatever that stuff is they done put up in there now, man, it's letting you fall. Feel me? Opioids, meth, fentanyl, all of this stuff is out here. So this whole show is basically going to be a commentary because it might not be no more comment for a long time. And for those of you that think you can control me or tell me what I can say, you don't even know. And the reason I'm a little ticked off, because I know that me and some other people have really been pushing this thing. And then you want to challenge what we do. It's got to be out your mind. We know what we doing. We trying to save lives. That's what dude said, save lives, and that's what we trying to do, and that's how we gonna do it. Now, something else from the Voice. They doing this right now. This here, they having a march over there. LaShawn Ford, Emma Mitts. Emma Mitts 37 Ward, LaShawn Ford 8th District. They marching out in there. Talking about Friday, July 17, 2020, walk with us. Mandela Day. Silent walk. Economic empowerment. You know they got Cicero over there on Chicago Avenue calling Mandela. I like it. Mandela was in jail for a long time. He got out. He did some good things. A lot of people in Chicago could have had their name on that damn street. I'm just saying. I salute Mandela. But see, we always doing things. They walking down the street on a march. That's good. You ought to be marching against these babies getting killed. That's what you ought to be marching against. You ought to be marching about these people ODing on this dope. That's what you ought to be marching against. Empowerment with what? You can't go to work. You can't hustle. So all you can damn near do is some dope. Man, that's why we out here. That's why we out here. That's why we out helping out. Because LaShawn Ford's West Side Hiring Opioid Task Force, that's very important. Now, he done created another task force. Called it the West Side Behavior Health Task Force, dealing with Bobby Wright, HSI, Habilitated System, Inc. And that's about all I can remember on that. They're going to be dealing with people that have other social issues. But actually, I believe, I don't know, you can have many task forces you want. But I always thought that substance abuse was part of mental health, behavioral health. But see, instead of having things under black folk, sometimes what people think is that the water is colder under white folk. And it is, if you're that type of person. But if you ain't that type of person, it ain't, because white folks can't tell black folks how to do things in the black community as it relates to how to get the word out, as it relates to how to deal with our senior citizens, as it relates to how to deal with our children. Are those of us that are mentally challenged or substance dependent? But now when you think that the black colony is a plantation and that you need somebody other than us controlling whatever pennies we can get, and they getting so much money in salary that they can't even pocket it all, then, we need to have this type of commentary. Yes, I said that. It's a good thing, West Side Hiring Opioid Task Force. And that's why we helping out, because we need our people to stay alive. But we don't need to be played with. Me and Brad Cummins and others, we be taking this thing very serious. And this is something here, July the 25th. The Voice newspaper, once again, getting the word out. You know how we get the word to the people? On Sunday morning when the people can't go to church. You understand me? They can't go to church. They can't go nowhere. So me, the kids, and their parents, we go from door to door, house to house, and we pass out these papers. Now, if you don't understand that's getting the word out, if you don't understand that that's our way of using media outreach, you feel me? Now on this thing here, that paper, they going back to school. You need to find you one of these Austin Voices, because they're going to be giving out book supplies, backpacks, all type of things. Then there's something else, still dealing with this census thing. I understand why people don't do the census. I did it for what? For white folks to be in our community, getting paid, and we can't? The hell out of here. And this last piece here, we help out. This here, these kids are helping out. They're out there passing this paper out. LaShawn Ford having a thing Sunday over there in Oak Park. But how would the community know that? They damn sure wouldn't know it by going to the store getting on paper. They know it because we help out, which is a part of Retro Current team, which is working with Mr. Cummins, trying to deal with what we was asked to do by LaShawn Ford, and that is media outreach, bring awareness, about substance abuse, which is a pandemic. And now, because you got this COVID-19, that's another pandemic we're dealing with. And all of the violence and all of the children dying, that's another pandemic. So we helping out. When I say we, that's the kids, the parents, me, and others. So don't be confused. So when I say who, I mean both. Westside Heroin Opioid Task Force, and I mean those 10 and 12-year-old kids. The Youth Corps. We call it the 8th District WHO. The 8th District, we helping out. Youth Corps. That good age of 10 to 12. Yes, they get paid a little stipend. So the little stipend we get, we give it back to them. So I'd be damned if I'm gonna be bothered with somebody that don't even live in my community thinking that I'm supposed to bow down. So much for that. I hope I made myself clear to the world. We are helping out. We are taking the paper, the word, to the people. What are you doing? Playing Girl Friday? Hell out of here. I ain't the one. You say, man, you got on TV to do that? Yeah, I brought that here. Now, we're going to get back to here. Brother, find that piece that talks about how opioid, dope, is killing folks in Cook County in Chicago. Or wherever it is. Just let us hear it. Well, in the meanwhile, look like while he's finding
developments in the coronavirus pandemic, the U.S. approaching 3 million cases, more than any other country. Dr. Fauci saying this is still the first wave of this. And tonight, the dire steps inside hospitals in the U.S. 5 members of one family coming down with the virus, the family matriarch dying just 3 days after her diagnosis. More than 131,000 lives have now been lost, and tonight a new model from the University of Washington now projecting the death toll could rise above 200,000 by November. Tonight, Florida reporting a staggering 7,300 new cases in just the past 24 hours, 63 deaths. Some Florida hospitals now running short on ICU beds, and still authorities in that state are ordering schools to open in August. Texas reporting more than 10,000 new cases in 24 hours. The Pentagon tonight is now sending medical and support personnel to hard-hit San Antonio. Arizona, meanwhile, reporting more than 3,600 new cases, 117 deaths. You can see there people waiting in their cars for hours for tests. Tonight, the story of one man who waited 27 days for his results. Amid the spreading virus, New York now adding 3 more states to the list of 19 states. Visitors coming to New York must go into their own 14-day quarantine upon arriving here. And this evening, President Trump late today saying he will put pressure on governors to open schools across this country this fall. And this evening, news on how long those tiny virus particles could actually linger in the air. We will get to it all, and ABC's chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman, leads us off.
With the country closing in on 3 million COVID cases tonight, hospitalizations increasing in 28 states. Some pushed to the very brink.
Our hospitals are very full. And at every hospital in the county, there's many COVID patients who are very sick.
At the Ventura County Medical Center in California, ICU patients spilling into the ER. And across the country, more than 300,000 new cases in just the past 6 days. The virus ripping through entire families like the Sanchez's of California. 5 members infected. Daughter Brenda didn't think she'd survive.
My thinking was, if I end up in the hospital, I'm gonna go too. I'm gonna die.
Brenda's mother, the family matriarch, died only 3 days after testing positive. Today, we rode along with the Phoenix Fire Department in the zip code with the most COVID cases in all of Arizona.
So we just learned that this is a possible COVID call. Everybody's got N95s on, and about 50% of all the calls that this station does are COVID calls.
Martin Molina tells paramedics he's had splitting headaches for 2 days. His girlfriend, Yesenia Lopez, comes out. She had just given birth 3 days ago.
Are you scared about what's going on inside your house?
To be honest, yes, because we're all together. Yeah, and plus my little boy. I just barely had him like Saturday.
Like so many here, 3 generations of the Lopez family living under one roof. Yesenia has had symptoms, she says. One of her children has also had a fever.
Scared, confused.
I bet you're scared.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrifying. What are you going to do?
As the emotion wells up, she clutches that St. Jude pendant. The wristbands from the hospital still there.
I mean, my mom can help me out, but
Martin was finally taken to the hospital.
Is this a typical call?
Yeah, this is what we see in this first due. At Maryville, there's a proud tradition of families living together, and unfortunately, that's the situation for affordability where they're all under one roof.
But reinforcements are on the way. The U.S. military sending nurses and respiratory specialists to San Antonio.
We are days away from overrunning our hospitals.
In Florida, 100 nurses headed to Miami, where ventilator use has more than doubled. 50-plus hospitals across the state at ICU capacity. At the same time, the state ordering schools to open next month for 5 days a week for all students. The president today saying he'll also push to reopen schools.
We're very much going to put pressure on governors and everybody else to open the schools.
With the virus raging, testing sites packed, supplies are depleted, and the labs are backed up. Robert Rosetko had symptoms and was tested at an urgent care in Tucson, isolating himself from his family and then waiting 27 days to learn he didn't have the virus.
That specimen was sitting in a lab in Phoenix, apparently, for maybe, 3 weeks. So is the test result even valid?
Reassuring news, but he waited 27 days, as you pointed out there, Matt. Matt Gutman with us from Phoenix tonight. I know you have more on that new forecast, that new projection, looking at the potential death toll here in the U.S. going into the fall, Matt.
Yes, David, that University of Washington poll, it's a model, predicted 208,000 deaths by November 1st. But those numbers could change if the present number of people in at-risk populations continues to surge, then more people will die. But if nearly all of the population begins to wear masks, then up to 45,000 lives could be saved.
Now, you see how crucial that is? Now, that's enough to make folks that don't have a substance dependency challenge. I mean, it's a terrible situation. Yet, Texas, Arizona, Florida, those places resisted using masks and other things that other people were doing. They thought they could just take their little butts out on the beach and do them. Oh, well, now you see. And you still got the one in Georgia. He's suing the black mayor because she's telling black folks to use a mask. The governor taking her to court because he don't think a black woman got enough sense to look out for the city that she is governing as mayor. So this creature, he suing this woman because she telling the people in Atlanta, I strongly recommend you wear a mask. And that old creature, he want him to go die. So I told you the last show we left here, there was this bat. And now they have discovered this bat. I wish I could find that bat, but it's too much work to dig it up. But this bat, they're over in the Philippines. Oh, they're over there in the Philippines, man. They done found the bat. Tall as a human. Y'all say, well, they just making that up. They ain't just making it up. It's real. They done found the bat. The size of a human, not a bat. They done found a colony of bats. And that goes back to what I said before as it relates to, I don't even know, we might have not even been on this TV then. We had talked about how this is a judgment. You know what I'm saying? A judgment. And in Isaiah, I got the Bible in here, but once again, I said, things are a little bit complicated here. I can't be digging off in here trying to do all this here. But it says in Isaiah 26 chapter, 20, first verse. Go into your chambers. Close, lock the door. Hide yourself for a little while until the anger of the Lord, whoever he is, for you, has subsided, until he's calmed down because of the iniquities, the sins that you enjoy, the immoral actions that you enjoy, the racism that you enjoy. God got mad. Y'all thought it was the bat. Now the damn bat done grew to be the size of a human. The bat mad too. But more than anything else, the Lord said the judgment all over the world, all of those that's on the earth are challenged. But no, I'm not here to preach. Could if I wanted to, but I ain't. But the bottom line is this here. These are serious times. And I'm already going to just roll what we're dealing with today, because I'm going to roll it all together. We're going to talk about the pandemic. We're going to talk about West Side heroin. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to talk about dope in Austin and other parts of Chicago, and we helping out. And LaShawn Ford's West Side heroin opioid task force. We're going to weave all that together. We're going to talk about our children being killed because don't nobody care. Police chief the other day, he from Dallas, poor thing. He better hurry up, boy. She going to get rid of him. Whatever contract he got, they going to violate that contract. You already see how they trying to really dishonor more and more on Eddie Johnson, boy. They ain't going to be satisfied. He was a black man, you dig? So they ain't going to be satisfied until they castigate him, castrate him, and cut him off. Now they just keep bringing him up in the paper. He gone. But now they got this new black man, and he done run into some, he just don't understand what's happening here. So he said, be patient. How you gonna tell people when we done had a dozen kids killed in the last 2 weeks, how you gonna say be patient, man? And I understand this here. I understand you. I like you. I hope you get the rhythm of this. But that's what you get when you go outside, when you're in a pandemic, and when you allow people that, and we're gonna get to what happened with George Floyd. That's gonna be in this too. Because what happens is this here. When you do not understand the ingredients of a situation, it gets out of hand. And that's why we tried to say at the beginning, when they had the election, you needed a professional politician to be mayor of Chicago after Rahm Emanuel, who was not a professional person on that level. He was just a carpetbagger. So now you bring somebody in on the job training being the mayor. And more killings in Chicago than a long time. And they don't have idea. But some of them old cops, them old black cops, they have idea. They've been better off keeping back from L.A. until they got it under control. And they had something in the news last week on CTA again. People getting stuck up, robbed, just taking advantage of. Well, the last time we was here, we were talking about SWAT. Beckett put it in place. And they was going to be on CTA. But when that black cop had to shoot that white creature that was tripping on drugs because he wouldn't stop resisting. He was throwing her and the black cop around like they was toys. So hell, he started running up the steps. She popped him in the leg. She didn't kill him like white folks do us. You understand? But then after that happened, had it been a black, they wouldn't have stopped having SWAT on CTA. But because a white creature, or whatever the hell he was, he looked white, then they done stopped talking about SWAT. They done stopped talking about the safety of black people on CTA. They done stopped talking about the safety of black people in the community. And now you're doing OJT with the police, and they say, we ain't gonna work, we're gonna sit down. Because we don't like the fact that you don't want us to put our knee on people's necks and shoot them in the back. See what we're living through right now? And then you wonder why people doing dope? People need to be able to call somebody to get some help. And the Sean Ford West Side Heroin Opioid Task Force got plenty of agencies that are ready and able to refer you, get you some Narcan. So if you do OD, at least somebody can pop you in one of your hips or your shoulder and resurrect you. Yeah, we want you to know about that because we are helping out. Yeah, we got a little of that Narcan. But anyhow, brother, give me something else.
Spike in overdose deaths from opioids. Those on the front lines of the crisis call it yet another indirect symptom of the coronavirus and the effects of quarantine. Here's CBS 2's Marissa Parra.
For those who handle the deceased within Cook County, the past few months have felt like a battle from all fronts.
Dealing with the COVID pandemic has kind of hidden the fact that we're seeing an increase in opioid deaths. Now we're seeing maybe a 50% increase.
What seems to be a brewing crisis within another crisis.
The news has been pretty grim. It's been striking how big a spike it is.
This is what opioid overdose fatality numbers look like over the last 4 years in Cook County, from the start of the year until mid-June. When you compare this time last year to 2020, so far it's over a 50% increase.
And that doesn't even include the pending cases.
The numbers for this year are expected to go up. Over 570 cases are still pending. About 70 to 80% of those cases are expected to be ruled as opioid overdoses, leading to an expected total of about 1,000.
The phones have been ringing off the hook with people looking for treatment options.
Dr. Kim Dennis with SunCloud Health says the cries for help with addiction are getting louder from isolation.
I hear all the time, I can't see my therapist and I feel incredibly lonely. I lost my job. Nothing's going to get better.
Less support means more room for relapse. And just like with coronavirus itself, the impact isn't equal. In a turn from 2016, what we're seeing this year is that when it comes to race, the majority of fatal opioid overdoses in Cook County are in Black, non-Hispanic residents.
It's the issues of housing, access to care, access to addiction services. If you throw a major public health disaster, which the pandemic is, on top of that, you are going to get a mess like we're in right now.
In Cook County, Marissa Parra, CBS 2 News.
Now, you see how this thing weaves into itself? See how bad it is? 50% greater, which is increase since this time last year. That's serious. Serious. And now, these other pieces about opioids, I'm going to just do that real briefly, and then we're going to come to a message from LL Cool J, who play a cop on TV, but it's going to help us look at the George Floyd piece a little bit. All these other pieces I was looking at, they were saying that the cartels and the big drug joints, distributors, I'm talking about illegal dope, they're having a hard time because they can't move their product. And that's creating havoc for them. Everybody having a hard time. There's some people in Detroit somewhere got popped with $41 million worth of stuff. All type of foolishness, opioids, fentanyl. That's happening right here. And that's why I salute LaShawn Ford. And I salute Brad Cummins and the people that was there with him to try to get some help, who live in the neighborhood to try to get some help for the neighborhood. I salute him on that. Because it ain't no joke. $41 million distribution. Now that's right. That's a, man, you can get to Detroit in 4 hours. A whole lot of dope right there. And a lot of that dope here. Then this other thing with meth, they found enough meth. This ain't what I said to you before when we was here. This is some new finding of meth. They haven't found some more meth, man, and that them pills are so pretty until, you can't tell what they are. So your children fumbling around, they thinking it's candy. It's dope. Dope kills hope. And some people need Narcan. Because Narcan can save your life. But we can't get the message out because of personality politics. Because in our community, those of us that's out there, we see what's happening on the street. Our people are suffering. Loretta Hospital, because we ain't got time. Loretta Hospital fitting to go on strike, possibly. Because there ain't enough money to pay some of the essential workers. Yet, people can get salaries to run programs in our communities. They don't live in our communities. That could pay 5 or 6 of those people that's going to strike because they can't get enough money. Feel me? This white privilege thing is really, really out of control. And remember, the West Side Hiring Task Force came out of Loretta Hospital. The Sean Ford first had it placed in Loretta Hospital. And I ain't going to say no more this time, right now. But I will be working on this here. Either as we are helping out or as trying to bring it out. But I prefer we are helping out with them 10 to 12-year-old kids getting to be paper boys and paper girls. Yeah, nice little core. It's killing me. Damn, I'm saying, man, I'm going to have to get me, some type of income. But you got to give them some money. You can't, but they can't get no job. They too young, so you can't pay them. But for a kid, a little black boy, man, I run into these shorties, they had them old scarves on their head trying to look like they going to be thugs. So I slid into a community grandfather. Then one of the parents, and another parent, and another. And now we got a nice little core going. It's just, man, I had to cut them off now. Man, y'all digging into my pocket. They had to take the paper, they had to roll the paper, they had to rubber band the paper, then they got to go all the way. You understand me? But they got to work from Laramie to Cicero. That's what they got to do. And then they got to go from Ohio to Chicago. That's what they got to do. That's a lot of people in that. A lot of people to get the paper. A lot of people to get in the word. A lot of people to get in awareness. A lot of people that got people in their family that's got opioid and other type of substance problems. Yeah, we helping out. We helping out the West Side Hiring Opioid Task Force. And we salute the work that LaShawn Ford started in all those agencies. Brother, let's listen to LL Cool J. Now, let me say this, that he gonna be intense, but he intense because the way they did Floyd and so many others. So I want you to listen to this. And so you say, I'm tweaking, listen to LL. And he played cop. He been playing cop on NCIS, or whatever the name of that show is, for ages. But he was a rapper. He's still a rapper. Feel his spirit, and then you can see how and why I'm so intense. Because for a plantation descendant that think they can tell us what to do in our community, suck money out of our community, and kill us, and our people OD because of the frustration of not having enough, listen to LL.
For 400 years, you had your knees on our necks. A garden of evil with no seeds of respect. In America's mirror, all she sees is regret. Instead of letting blood live, they begging for bloodlet. Revenge is a dish that's served on platelets. Transfusion of confusion, abusing our intellect. I can't be bought with a $1,200 check, even though $1,200 can make a meal stretch. My mama wasn't rich, but she earned my respect. She made a little bit of money for a lot of blood, tears, and sweat. Jumping up and down on police cars, I'm vexed. After Chauvin killed George Floyd, we got next. Molotov cocktails, anarchy on the set. The rich took the loot, so now we loot shit. Feeling like a caged tiger that's whipped to do tricks. That's why I started fires and yelled and threw bricks. They tried to run me over and arrest me and shit. Tase pepper spray and engage with the kid. They ran up in the state house with them AKs quick. But let a nigga try and do that white boy shit. Won't be no rubber bullets ricocheting off ribs. But the white supremacists go in the cops' face and spit. Try to barbecue? Becky call the cops on the kid. Hoping and praying it'd be some Emmett Till shit. Sandra wasn't bland, they hated Mike cause he brown. Trayvon should have had an Aston Martin riding around. Amadou Diallo, it's way too many to follow. Vato, how much of my pride I gotta swallow? God only knows how deep this plan goes. I was dealing with this shit as a teen in Kangos. Harassed by cops, word to my ancestors' souls. And watching that man die slow left a hole. He cried for his mama as the murder unfolded. If it wasn't for them phones, Chauvin would be at home. Feeling justified because of George's skin tone. I'm telling it to those with melanin, you're not alone. The new Malcolm, Martin, and Marcuses are now grown. America's a graveyard full of black men's bones. And I ain't got to tell you that Breonna Taylor got slayed in her own home. Had they lived, Sean could have rocked bells. Eric could have garnered attention. Beyond the t-shirts and obituary mentions. Oscar could have been counting grants. Tamir could have went to Rice. They owed them cops nothing, but all of them paid the price. So yeah, you right. We should protect our Second Amendment rights. Because in a second, a dirty cop can kick the door in at night. A tooth for a tooth and a life for a life. We refuse to live in hell while you living in paradise. Being black in America is like rolling a pair of dice. But the stakes are way higher, you gambling with my life. Black lives matter.
And they do.
Forever.
Forever. Yeah? And I'll leave you with that. And I leave you with this, Alafia, peace, and good health. Because we will be helping out.